Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the channel. I know it's been a really long time since I've made an upload, so here I am today. So, today I am going to make a review video about Nawasaki's white nice watercolors that I have been using for quite a while now. So, let's get started. It is a small portable white plastic box that has 12 colors in it, although it is not a split primary palette, but it still works for me. And the thing that I like the most about this particular box is that how it has these small tiny indentations on the mixing area, so you can kind of separate your colors and not create a very muddy mixture of watercolors. It also came with another mixing area, but I just didn't need that, so I just detached it. Now let's paint all these paints onto the paper and see how they look like. And for that I'm using a simple cold press watercolor paper, and on that paper I have a black Sharpie line to test the transparency and opacity of these watercolors. Some of the paints are really opaque and some of them are really transparent. It just depends upon the pigment that has been used. For example, cadmiums are known to be really opaque, so opacity is something that is not really admired in watercolors, but as an artist you can just test them out and see if they fit your art style, and you can just use them however you like art has no rules. So you need to just try out different things, but it is pretty evident how cadmiums are really opaque, and the rest of the colors are kind of transparent and semi-transparent. For example, this Mirror Lake red. However, you can see how concentration of your watercolor also matters. For example, this green color is actually really transparent, but right now I'm using it like concentrated, so it's just completely kind of opaque right now. And for the golden deep that is coming ahead, that is marketed as a completely transparent watercolor, but it is very 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 opaque, as you can see it yourself. Also, the 3-star rating is for the pigments that have good light fastness, while 2-star rating is for the pigments that have moderate or low light fastness. Like in this particular set, only green has 2-star rating, while the rest have a 3-star rating. So, and light fastness is also an important component, especially if you do commission artworks, because you want the paints to be really vibrant for a really really long time. One important thing is that most of the paints are monopigmented, meaning that they have only one pigment that is used for their manufacturing. Now, certain paints have more than one pigments. Now, the only problem with such kind of paints that have more than one pigment is that they are already a mixture of pigments. So, when you're doing your own color mixing, you cannot predict how they are going to react with different colors that you're going to be using. So, most of the time, these polypigmented paints, they create a really muddy mixture of colors that is really kind of undesirable. And here is a quick look of how these paints look like when they're all dried up. So that is something that I really admire, because most of these paints are not chalky, they dry really well, and you can layer them over and over again. As I said, it is not a split primary palette. So if you want to learn more about split primary palette, then you can go to my channel and I have a complete video on that. This particular set, however, has primaries, but not a split primary, but it also has the secondary colors already in it. So you just have the go-to colors for whatever you want. And for that, I still want to show you how the colors react when you kind of mix them with each other. Now, these paints actually blend really nicely with each other. You can just mix them and they go unbothered. White nights is a very affordable and economical option out there for the artists, and if you compare it with the other brands, like, it is really cheaper than the professional paints, and it is way better than most of the student quality paints out there. And one thing that I have read about these watercolors is that they have honey as binder. And the observation that I have made is that the water jars that I use for my watercolor painting, they are kind of surrounded by small ants, and they do get drowned in there. And that is something that I just don't like. So if you're facing the same problem, then I would recommend you to have a jar with a lid on the top of it so these animals don't drown in that. And here is a live example of how these watercolors just travel onto the wet paper like so seamlessly. And that was something that I was really missing with the student quality watercolors. And it's just like the kind of thing that I had wanted. Like, when you put watercolor onto the paper, it should travel slowly and like blend with each other without any difficulty. It's just flawless. So now I think I'm going to share a few of the artworks that I've just created using these watercolors. I know these artworks are not really good, but still, it shows the potential that these watercolors have. You can create something even better. And that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you liked it and see you in the next one. Thank you.